Hello, everybody, and we are so happy to be back with Walk the Talk, episode 4. And today we want to talk all about confidence, because confidence is something we can all benefit from. It's something that we all need to learn more of, and it's something that we can start with as soon as possible to help our children really succeed in this life on every level. And what actually got us starting on this topic was I just completed a bachelor's in mirror neurons, and most people don't know what mirror neurons are about. But it's essentially about reading facial structure and how our muscle tone changes over time. And it teaches us a lot about human behavior and what is behind the behavior that we are seeing. So, we can all benefit more from reading people accurately, but do we know whether we are reading them correctly? And this is what I learned more about. And ironically, this wonderful skill we are actually born with. We are born with a basic understanding of this. This is why when you engage a baby, I mean, they will look at every little thing in your face. They cannot keep their eyes off you. They study every little movement and everything. And this is actually because they have an ability to read mirror neurons. They don't have the language skill yet, so they can only go based on what they see. This is what they respond to. And so this is really a very important thing. And up to the age of 3 years, they actually have the ability to recognize muscle tone. And through studying your movements, they can gauge what you are actually trying to convey to them. So that's amazing. And why this is so important for us to learn more about is because confidence is a very important thing to learn. And what we found in this field is that the whole issue that most of us are dealing with our children with bullying actually comes back to confidence. Because first of all, what they proved is bullies lack emotional intelligence, and there's a lot of self-hatred there, and therefore they seek domination. That's where they find their confidence. And only ethical children will not attempt to humiliate others. So that means kids that have higher IQ, EQ, and greater neocortex development. And the less these children feel supported at home, the more they are likely to become a bully. And as they feel they need to inflict their anger and frustration on others, and so they target those who show any measure of fear. That has proved to us that the more we can help our children develop greater confidence in who they truly are, the more they become resistant to the bullies. So our best defense is definitely to help them with their confidence levels, and to also try and understand who they are better, so that we can support them more in that. So Isla, welcome. I'm sorry that was a long introduction. I would love to hear your opinion on this before we look at different ways in which we can help our children increase their confidence.
Thank you, Mary-Lise. But having a confident child is helping that child move towards building the skills, building the abilities to be a confident adult. And when we look, although we're living the day-to-day of our teenagers, of our children at home, and the day-to-day can be very challenging when, it's like the alien that just arrived in the kitchen every day. That can be super challenging, but taking the longer view on it, it's about our support of our kids getting to this milestone of 18 independence, and how they're going to be ready to take on the rest of their lives.
Yes. The long-term effects of this is just, well, it's never ending. And also, the more confidence you have, the more you can help others with theirs, if you understand what's truly behind it and how you can support one another better. So I'm very glad that we can talk about this right from the start through to the big picture, because it really is something that I believe will benefit every single person that listens to this. So let's look at 5 quick ways in which we can, practical ways in which we can help younger children build confidence. So the first one would be to encourage independence and problem solving. And we spoke about this last week when we spoke about problem solving, how incredibly important it is for them to learn to make their own decisions. And even when it starts with little things like what do you want to wear or what do you want to eat, um, or something happens and comes your way, not to immediately shout out the solution to the child, but to help them think through this so that they can develop their own pattern of thinking and learn to arrive at their own solutions. Because I think the better they're able to do that, the better that child is going to learn to deal with anything that comes their way based on who they truly understand themselves to be. So that's the first one. Then secondly, to praise their effort and not just the outcome. I think this is so important. A lot of parents only praise their children once they've achieved something major. But that child's never going to get to that if it's not a natural talent, if you're not consistently trying to encourage them and help them, try and find that strength within themselves to just keep trying and not give up. And then the third one is to teach resilience and coping skills, which I think we all need more of these days, just because of what's happening in the world. To do it in a practical way by saying, I had the same problem when I was your age. I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how this situation, it feels like everything's closing in on you, but there are different ways in which you can deal with this apparent overwhelm. And this is how I found things that worked for me, because I think it's so important for them. Again, growing up, sometimes I felt like my mom didn't understand what I was going through, because she would always just point to where I need to be, and not once saying, oh my gosh, I actually know how you feel. And it's okay to feel like that. It's normal. She was just always going for, no, but you need to be there. You need to achieve that. You need to be that. And I think it's important for us to help them realize that it's actually okay not to always feel okay. And then the fourth one is to foster the social skills and the friendships. We know that we've spoken about this 2 weeks ago, I think, about how important it is to develop those kinds of friendships where you can truly support one another. And possibly, if your child is not naturally outgoing, to try and get them involved in team sports or activities where they can engage with others that share a same love for something or skill in something. And then, of course, the fifth one, and I really rushed through them now because I'm trying to save everyone time, is to model the confidence and the positive self-talk, because this is something that I found when I learned this, I often did wrong, is I would try and build my child up, and when they did terrible things, say, oh, I can't believe I was so stupid, how could I do that? And sometimes you listen to their response and you think, my gosh, that is so negative. But then I realized I do that. I was being very hard on myself because of things that I was going through. My child was just modeling that. So it starts with self every time when it comes to our children. If we see some behavior in them that we think is not necessarily productive or helpful, Go look in the mirror. It often comes from us. We want so much more for them and better for them, but it actually starts with self. So there was a big lesson in that for me. Yeah, so there's your 5 very quick tips. I hope that those help you. And also, if you have any others that you can add for younger kids specifically, please add it in the comments below this video. But yes, Isla, so just starting with that as a base, how can we take it even further to ensure greater success down the line?
So, unsurprisingly, it's building upon everything that you've already said, right? But what I think, in my experience, what shows up in the teenage years is where there are disconnects, so to speak. So maybe you feel as a parent, or certainly I did, I've been doing enough right, and we get to the teenage years and then we suddenly start to see gaps. So places where our kids maybe aren't as confident, or where they're getting into trouble, or where they're feeling inadequate, and that shows up in many different ways. So kind of going through my 5, so to speak. One is in the academic environment. And given that the teenage years are all building towards adulthood, and what we as parents want more than anything else for our kids is that they can be confident and independent and have the skill set to be able to navigate their lives as best they can. Nothing's perfect, and we don't have a magic wand, but we're building towards that. One of the areas that this really showed up for my older son especially was in his academic readiness. So because high school is such an environment of, do this, get that, it's homework every night, it's so structured and organized and deliberate, it's relatively easy to follow. You can choose not to follow it, but it's all there for you. It's step by step by step. You get to the end of high school and you move on to college or university, and suddenly you have different classes, different professors, different homework assignments, and nobody is coordinating any part of it. And you're not home anymore. And mom isn't there sitting at the table saying, have you done your homework? This aspect of building organizational skills, being aware of the academic readiness of your child, is really crucial. And where it came back to bite us seriously was with my oldest son. He failed the end of second year at university because he did not have the organizational skills. And my bad, in all honesty, because I sort of knew that. I could see it going through high school, but it didn't show up as a big problem until he no longer had the structure to work within. So one of those areas for building confidence, and confidence is because you have the skill set, because you have the experience, how to do something. In the academic readiness department, for me, that is a huge number 1. Number 2 then is independence, responsibility. And again, let's take the example of the kid who goes to college. There is the responsibility to get up every day, to go to class, to do your laundry, to do your homework, to eat a balanced meal, to stay healthy, to exercise. I mean, there's so much that we as parents need to be reflecting on and building in, almost not necessarily we build it in by requiring these kinds of behaviors, but we build it in almost kind of coming through the back door instead of the front door, of helping them be
Yes.
able to have these competencies and the confidence that goes with it, because we have found ways to show them that this would be a good thing to do. We found ways to model it, or we found ways to let them fail and not pick up the pieces for them, so they've learned the lessons and they have the experience.
It is so key. What you're saying is so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
because they can fail in the safety of their own environment. So first of all, you learn, okay, it's actually okay. I'm not going to die if I don't do this perfectly. I've got the support that I need, and it immediately shows them how to do it better without anything going horribly wrong. It's so crucial.
Yeah. And I think that there's so much going on for our kids today. As parents, we want to make life as easy for them as we possibly can, because we're so aware of the chaos that's out there for them, and our instinct, that mama bear in me was like, I'm going to protect that baby no matter what. But we're doing them a disservice, because they need to be able to do their own learning in these years before they're out on their own, and the consequences have the potential of being much more dire. So, so this aspect of independence and responsibility, just, I think as parents, just to be thinking about that and thinking long term. What can I do just today and next week and next year to help build that? Discussing mental health. I think this is really a big one. Our kids are dealing with a lot of challenges in that whole area of anxiety, stress, being around others that are very stressed and anxious and not quite sure how they should be responding. You know, if I'm watching 3 of my friends taking anti-anxiety meds or taking ADHD meds, should I be doing that too? You know, there's so much in the narrative right now, so much discussion around mental health, but what to do to manage it. And I think that's where parents really can help their kids right now, in a way that they can start to talk about these issues. It's all over the news. It's okay to talk about self-harm. It's okay to talk about suicide. It's more important that you're able to discuss that inside your home than to pretend that it doesn't exist, because it does exist, and our kids are not dumb. They see it, they know it. So
they actually know more than we do, because they talk amongst themselves. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So having those conversations as they're teenagers, be much more open conversations, I think tremendously important. And it then helps them feel like if there's something that's going wrong for them or for a friend, that we are a safe place to go test that conversation. So being able to talk about mental health and being really aware with your kids, I think, is hugely important in the teenage years. Building resilience and coping skills. That sort of goes back to allowing them to fail, seeing that failure is not the end of the world, and how are they going to manage picking themselves up and moving forward, not fixing everything, and understanding that whereas everything in social media is immediate, you know, we live in a society of immediate gratification. Building resilience is about understanding that I'm here on the planet for the long haul, and if things aren't going right immediately, it's okay. I can survive this, but how am I going to activate my own problem-solving skills to be able to change a situation, to be able to test a new approach or a new idea? So I think building new coping skills when the opportunity presents itself.
Mm.
Like, how could you be doing this differently? What else, as opposed to trying to fix everything? And it's human nature for us to try to fix, but we can't fix when they're 22 and they're on their own. We've got to be helping them build these skills for today.
Mm. Yeah, can I say something just on that?
Of
Because
course.
this is something that was quite a thing for me that I think I learned to like is that simple principle of never do for your children what they can do themselves. And I mean, especially as a mom of a little child, and you know, they're so cute, and they'll look at what they do. Oh, this is so brilliant. And don't worry, honey, I'll do that for you. You know, or we are very enthusiastic and so on, and it's wonderful to see this little person develop before your eyes, and you're just eager to help wherever you can. And it's like you say, it's you're actually doing your child a disservice, which is so contradictory to everything that's in your heart. But to learn the value of it, exactly as you say, because it's actually going to affect the kind of adult that they are going to become. That really puts it in the picture nicely. It puts it into perspective nicely. As much as you would like to butter the toast every morning for your child, you can't do that, because what you are building into them is so important. So yes, I just wanted to highlight that, because it's something that is not in our motherly nature to always do.
Yeah, no. Because, and the other thing is, we want, I mean, very selfishly, we want the adoration, you know?
Oh, of course, that's also,
we
yes.
we want to be thanked. We want to be important.
The heroes,
So
yes, for our kids,
we
yes.
got to manage our own egos in all of this as well, and understand that it all does start with us. I mean, in so many different
Us,
ways, right? It
does.
starts with us. You know, we want to be the hero,
Mm, mm,
even if it is only buttering the toast. So I
yes.
mean, silly stuff, but I think when we recognize how much we're doing for ourselves
I know.
versus how much we're doing for our kids, I think there's an
Yes.
important distinction to be learned there as well. You know,
Definitely,
yeah,
couldn't agree more. Yes.
yeah.
Mm,
Our own ego is at
mm,
play.
yes.
And then my number 5 would be to create a supportive network. So that goes to what you were saying earlier about friends, helping them find friends, understand what a close friend is, understand how you not only you pick friends, but how you be the friend that you want to have. What
Yes.
and that's not a one and done thing. That is a lifetime
Mm,
journey,
mm,
right? Because people come into our lives and they come in for a season or a reason.
mm,
And even with our children,
mm.
um, they can be kind of, somebody can be the best friend when they're 10 years old, and then they go on to middle school and high school, and that person is no longer, it becomes an acquaintance because they have created a new friend group,
Mm,
and your child's created a new friend group.
mm,
So
mm.
just being aware of how to build friendships, and maybe also when to let them go. I think that's
Very
important
important.
too.
Mm,
I think that's important too.
mm, mm.
Um, extracurricular activities. I put that into the category as well of a supportive environment, because what I realized with both of my boys was that both of them were in sports, and what it was doing for them was building that muscle of collaboration, communication, being a team player, being a member of a team, having an identity that was me and we, and it really helped them be able to see themselves as part of, in a bigger context. They're they're individuals, but they're not on their own. They're not
Yes.
alone. They're
Yes.
they're in an environment that is supportive. Sometimes it was there was a lot of conflict in it as well, but it
Mm,
teaches so many
mm,
skills of resilience and getting along and conflict resolution and all of these important life skills. And so I think that to the extent that we can as parents, promoting being involved in activities where there are others that are engaged and you have to figure out how you're going to get along is incredibly important. Yeah, you have an idea there.
Yeah, and the shared passions, the reason why you why this person is a better friend than necessarily that person is to I think it actually helps you identify more about yourself as well, based on what it is in others that you admire and want to become part of and share with. And I think it works both ways. It gives you a greater sense of self, and then also what really works for you, because I think as we grow older and mature and learn, okay, this thing is actually not as important as that thing, you naturally choose your friendships based on what you come to understand about what's really important for you. And I think that's an important thing as well, because it's all part of the self-development, and it's about really establishing the kind of support around you that you know you can rely on come what may. It's not just based on a flimsy little acquaintance just because you share the love of music or something like that, but it's because their values align with your values, and you know this is why these will be friends that you can trust for life. It's like, we get it. We are so on the same wavelength, and that is exactly where I want to be. So yes,
yeah, I think that's incredibly important, important. And I think as parents, we can help kids be able to identify that. You know, what is often challenging for our kids is that they know things, they feel things, because we know that it's the emotional brain that's kind of on fire in these years. So they're feeling everything, but they're not. They don't have the thinking aspect of their brain necessarily developed sufficiently to think through the why of these emotions. So being able to help them understand why they're feeling what they're feeling, why a particular friendship is more important than another, what they're drawn to or not drawn to, and bringing in some of the thinking behind that with them, I think is incredibly valuable, because that's learning that's going to be carried forward.
That's amazing. Every little thing, every little detail has long-term consequences, and the more we can just touch on these, understand the importance of it, and how we can help them develop more of that, I think is such a gift. So I'm very grateful for everything we can learn together, and the fact that we know as parents that the more we discuss it, the more we help one another, because we are all going through these processes together, and we need to support one another as well, because then we know we are doing the best that we can.
My very, very last point here is the supportive environment we create at home.
Oh, yes. Essential.
That safe place, no matter what, is what all of this is built on, right? If the ground is shaky there, then all of the things we're talking about are going to be pretty difficult to achieve, because we'll have a child that doesn't have the confidence in their own foundation to be able to build any of these skills. So what we're doing at home, and that stability that we can create no matter what, is critical. So anyway, and please go ahead. I think you're going to close us.
Well, that was a perfect closing. That was a perfect closing. And yes, what a privilege it is as parents to actually have this kind of influence and opportunity to help these beautiful new creations grow into awesome, awesome people. I'm very grateful for it, and I'm grateful I can share it with you. And thank you for your wonderful advice as always, and all your knowledge. I look forward to seeing what we discuss next week. And please keep those questions coming, everyone. We really, really want to address whatever it is that you're going through. So let's do this together. Thank you, Isla. Have a
Thank you,
fantastic week.
Marylise. Yes, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.